Hello, everybody. Welcome back to once again another coverage of the NBA playoffs. This is round two coverage here with the rated RKO Tim Rand, otherwise just known as Tim Rand to me. Tim Rand, how's it going?
Not bad, just here. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Yeah, we're covering the NBA playoffs round two, and boy, round one this year was entertaining. We got three game sevens on one day. We had two game sevens on one day. So many surprising things that happened in the NBA playoffs. And let's start with the first seed taking on the eighth seed matchup. So let's recap a little bit of round one. These will be a little bit quicker than our predictions. Now, round one recap: the Hawks versus the Pacers. The Pacers managed to defeat the Hawks in 7 games. But what surprised you here, Tim Rand? What were you surprised about while watching this series between the Hawks and the Pacers?
The Pacers, man. They were the best team in the regular season defending the three ball, and the amount of 3-point shots they gave up to the Atlanta Hawks was a bit sad, to say the least. Because
Mm-hmm.
in the end, defense in the regular season was amazing until they started going through that slump. Roy Hibbert, he played terrible. This whole series, he was
Yeah,
averaging Kwame Brown
he,
numbers.
he 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 had. I think Game Seven was the only game where he looked like Roy Hibbert. Like that was like the Roy Hibbert we know. Getting 11 points, getting your rebounds, and blocking shots. That was the only game he did well. Was Game Seven. The rest of the games, and I think Game Five and Six, he was abysmal. Getting 0-0. He was the only All Star, like in this era, to get like a 0-0. And like this year, this era, whatever, the Adam Silver era, I guess. So yeah, that's just crazy, man. He just did not look good this series. And Paul George, he did not look super well off to me in this series. Who surprised me in this series was Jeff Teague and Paul Millsap. I thought Paul Millsap and Jeff Teague played an excellent series for Atlanta.
Yeah, the entire Atlanta team, I'll give them credit. They weren't even supposed to be in this position. Because personally, this was supposed to be the New York Knicks, but it wasn't. It was the Atlanta Hawks. Well, let's be honest. Al Horford was not injured. The Atlanta Hawks would have been sixth or fifth. So, but they were eighth. They gave the Indiana Pacers the run for their money, but they ended up coming up short. No one expected the Hawks to win, but I'll give them a lot of credit. They hang in, and they almost stole the series away from the Pacers. But in the end, Indiana won that.
Yeah, they won in seven. That was crazy. I predicted the Indiana Pacers to struggle a bit with the Hawks and take it to a game six. So the Pacers met my expectations, and I'm not one of those people who are gonna freak out. Oh, they struggle with the Hawks. I gotta freak out and think they're gonna lose the next round. When we talk about the next round, I'll say why. But I just knew they were going to struggle with the Hawks. They always struggle with this team, even with the Josh Smith days and the Joe Johnson days. Indiana has always struggled taking on Atlanta. All right, let's just move on forward to the next first round matchup with the San Antonio Spurs. So the Dallas Mavericks surprising us, Tim Rand. We both said this was going to be a sweep, but the Mavericks took it to 7 games. And I have a theory about this, Tim Rand. Do you want to hear my theory?
But
I think after game one, Greg Popovich was pissed off because his team was doing too damn good. And he wanted a good simulation of what the finals is going to be like. So he told Tony Parker, he told Tim Duncan, he told Manu, he told Kawhi, he told Danny Green, he told all his team this: just suck. I don't want to do good. Just suck. I want to make sure that we get a good simulation of what it's going to be like in 7 games when we face the Heat or the Pacers. That's what Greg Popovich was thinking. He used these games as practice. He wasn't worried for his team, and he knew his team was going to fight through this. Greg Popovich is a smart man. He wanted to practice in for them to get ready for a 7 game series. That's what I thought. But one thing that surprised me from this series, I think, is the play of Monte Ellis. I think Monte Ellis, he's always been kind of like I would say he's like Joe Johnson in a way where like a lot of people like him, but then some people just find him massively overrated in some aspects. But I felt he did really good. Vince Carter came to life in this series. Dejan Blair, former Spur, he did really good in this series. The one thing that shocked me also was just Dirk Nowitzki, how he looked like a ghost at times during the series. Like this did not feel like the classic Mavericks teams where we see Dirk Nowitzki, take over and all that crap. Just to me, I just didn't think the Mavericks looked that good, and I just honestly think Greg Popovich wanted his team to go to Game 7 to get them that type of experience and saying, "Hey, anything can happen," type of deal.
You know what? As crazy as your theory sounds, I totally agree. If there's one coach that likes to mess around with the game, it is Greg Popovich. Because there was a game where they were on 19 games. Well, first of all, this is the guy that rests his starter in big games, so this should not come as a surprise that Greg Popovich, lets up at times. Because even against the Oklahoma City Thunder, when they had a 19-game winning streak, he set in a one of those, those little invoice things they have during the game, those little clips they showed the coach
Yeah,
talking to players. Pretty much what he was saying, he doesn't care if they win this game. He doesn't even care if they lose. It's just he just wants them to, build towards the playoffs. And Greg Popovich does not care about winning. He's just okay. That came out a bit wrong.
he does not care about winning the regular season. He cares about winning when it matters most, the postseason.
NBA Finals healthy, and then then the Spurs will take off when they reach the NBA Finals. But I agree with that theory. To me, the Spurs did not play like the San Antonio Spurs this series. Yes, they did play like the Spurs in Game 7.
Yeah, no, they played like that because the thing was like it was alarming. Like Tony Parker would look good in the first half, and then all of a sudden in the second half he would just come out really flat. Like it wasn't like TP9 would be doing the usual. Okay, Duncan set the screen. Let me hit that jump shot. Oh, you're just gonna leave the paint open? Let me just spin 5 times and freaking make a crazy ass layup, and the fans go, oh. And then all of a sudden in the second half, he just looked flat. It didn't look like TP9. I was just like, what happened to Tony Parker here? I mean, he just kind of disappeared sometimes in the second half of the games. Tim Duncan's still a beast. Manu Ginobili, he actually looks good this playoffs. Last playoffs, he didn't look so good during the whole series. So I still think the Spurs are one of the top teams. Where do you think the Mavericks go from here? Where do you think the Mavericks go from here next season? Do you think the Mavericks are back in the playoffs next season, or do you think this was just they're done?
I think they're done. The fact that they were Mark Cuban was not able to land a Dwight Howard or Darren Williams, that just ended it for me about the Mavs. They're just that team that might barely get in the 8th spot and make the playoffs, but they're done. Dirk's career, I'm not saying it's over, but he's not winning another ring. It's done.
Yeah, they have a lot of the only young piece they really have that I guess you could say they can build around is Monte, but he's been someone that's been in the league for a long time too. So yeah, I'm not really high on the Mavs making the playoffs again next year, but you can never count out a team with the Dirk Nowitzki and a Rick Carlisle as a head coach. All right, let's move on to the 2 seed taking on those 7 seeders. Oh, those poor Charlotte Bobcats. I thought they would at least get one game, but they didn't. The Charlotte Bobcats got swept by the Heat. The Miami Heat ended up moving on forward. They got a nice little vacation. You could watch what LeBron was doing on the new LeBron app, brought to you by Samsung Galaxy S3 during this time. Oh, man. The only thing I like is that at least Kemba Walker got some national TV exposure. And I feel bad for Al Jefferson because I think with Al Jefferson, if he was healthy, they would have at least taken one game. At least one game. But they didn't. So Heat wins. That's all I gotta say. The Heat look good, like always. I don't know really what to say about the series.
The only team that really had a cakewalk in the first round was the Miami Heat. If there was one game the Bobcats should have won was Game 4 when they lost by 3. That was the only chance they had when Jonathan Roberts, flagrant foul LeBron James. The Heat just, what's scary about the Miami Heat? They have 10. The last time they played was 9 days ago. That's scary.
Yeah, they're gonna be healthy and they're gonna be ready for the Brooklyn Nets, who obviously came off a 7-game series, which we're gonna talk about. Yeah, Miami, they always do this in the first round. Ever since the Big 3 era, they just always take care of whoever they have to face in the first round. Like the team would win one game, but then afterwards Miami would make those adjustments. They're looking really good. They hit the switch. They look like a team that could actually three-peat at the end of the day. We'll just have to wait and see with the Heat. All right, let's get to the more interesting 2 versus 7 matchup. The Thunder Grizzlies, I'll dare say, one of the best series I've watched minus Game 7. I enjoyed this series, and this series was to test Kevin Durant's MVP status, and he passed with flying colors. Say what you want. Oh, he has Westbrook helping him out. I'll say what you want. I thought KD stepped up when he needed to. Westbrook stepped up when he needed to, and I was impressed by the Grizzlies. I just feel the Grizzlies, they are a much better team than a 7 seed. This team is not really a 7 seed. This team as a 4 seed at best. Like that's what I see the Grizzlies. They just had to happen to deal with injuries. I didn't think the Grizzlies were ever going to win this series, but we said it best. Like, these games were going to be tough for the Thunder. Like, the Thunder were not going to get easy ass games against the Memphis Grizzlies. They were going to go and get hard ass games. And I enjoyed this series. So many overtimes. I wish Game 7 was more competitive. For the early portion, it was, but then afterwards, the Thunder just blew them out of the water. And now the Thunder is moving on forward. I feel bad for Mike Conley getting hurt here. And it sucks what happened to Zach Randolph getting suspended. But other than that, man, I think the Grizzlies, they're going to be back in the playoffs next year, man. They're going to be back.
I don't know what was the Kevin Durant 4-point play where heaved that shot up and made it, or the Kendrick Perkins game-winning layup.
Yeah, or the game-tying layup.
Yeah, this series all around was great. I watched every single game from Game 1 to 7. I'll give the Grizzlies way more credit. I said this when it ended 5. It did not. At one point in my head, I kind of felt like, man, they have the Thunder number, man. They could really win this series. And to me, the only chance the Grizzlies had to win the series was winning Game 6, which they didn't, and no one expected them to win Game 7. So the Thunder won as they should have. Kevin Durant did show up. Russell Westbrook. They turned the ball over a lot, but that's what the Grizzlies would do to you. They would force you to turn the ball over. But at the end, Kevin Durant got it done as well as Russell Westbrook, and it was a longer series that they have won it because clearly the Thunder what they need is some rest going into the next round, but they didn't get it. But the main thing is they hang on and beat these very tough Grizzlies, which I agree they won't make the playoffs again next year. Just add one more piece, in my opinion, at the small forward position, and they should be good.
Yeah, no, like for me, it was just like when I was watching Game 1, like the Thunder just were dominating Game 1, and yeah, the Grizzlies made a little comeback, but the Thunder still won. And I said to myself, wow, the Thunder could actually sweep the Grizzlies here. And then afterwards, as these games were going back and forth, I said, wow, these games are actually really good. I enjoyed myself watching these games. I had fun with these games, and I feel bad that the Grizzlies can't move on in the playoffs and give us more good basketball. But hey, that's how the playoffs work. You can't get your way. All right, let's get started with the next matchup for the 3 versus the 6s. We had the Raptors, the third seed in the Eastern Conference, taking on the 6th seed Brooklyn Nets. And I guess the Nets made the right choice of dropping down. I don't know if you can really say that, but they didn't make a right choice because hey, they ended up winning the series over against the Toronto Raptors. And this was a good series for the most part. I just feel like what hurt the Raptors was that Lowry and DeRozan were really inconsistent at times. Like these two would not do well in certain key games. And I just felt, the Nets, they just played veteran basketball. They did veteran type things and they won the veteran type way. But the one person that stunk up the joint and who I was hoping would have a good series was Deron Williams. You predicted the Raptors here. I predicted the Nets here. But the one guy was Deron Williams, stunking up the joint, man. This guy, when Joe Johnson is looking like the go-to scorer, that's not good, man. I was expecting a lot more from Deron, but he just disappointed the hell out of me, man. I'm done trying to defend Deron Williams. I've always been a Deron Williams fan. I've always been someone who has defended this guy, but I'm done defending this guy right now, man, because I'm sick and tired of seeing this guy disappoint me every single time I see this dude play. I'm done defending this dude for now on, man. I'm not going to try to convince myself he's a great point guard just being lazy. No, this guy is just not that great. He is just a standard point guard in this league. He did not impress me at all this series.
I was in this class today. I live in Toronto, so there's going to be a lot of backlash with this series because I live here. I'm going to hear about it on Sports Center and TSN for the next 2 weeks. But these people making excuses like DeMar DeRozan had a flu in Game 7. Fuck that shit. The Raptors had this series in their hands. They were up 3-2, and I said for them to win this series, they must win in 6. Before the series started, I said the only chance they have of winning this series is to win in 6. You cannot go into a Game 7 with no experience, and that's what they did. They went into a game. As soon as the Nets blown out the Raptors after Game 6, I said, yeah, it's most likely over. The Nets are winning the series. You can't go into a Game 7 with no experience. Wasn't consistent at did his thing this series as well as DeMar DeRozan. doesn't not show up at all this series. He made a great play against the seven, but too late because he didn't show up at all. And they couldn't stop Joe Johnson. Something I learned from this series, I'm one of the. You can call me a hater of Joe Johnson because I do say he's very overrated. But after this series, man, this guy he is if he really wants and puts the work into it, he can be unstoppable if he really puts in the work. Joe Johnson is strong, man. No one on the Raptors can guard him. Literally, they were switching it up, double teaming. They just couldn't stop him. He was shooting better than 55%, averaging 21 points. Yeah, the way he only got 22 last night, it felt like he had 40. But Joe did his thing, and I agree with you. Darren Williams, he overrated. I used to this well, yeah, I would say he's overrated because he didn't make the All Star team. So, but I expect more from Darren Williams. So he did show up. Paul Pierce did his thing. He came through, made the biggest play in the series. KG, keep pumping guys. And the Nets ended up coming through as they should have. They were the favorites to win the series, and they won. The Raptors just have to put their heads down and look forward to next year and add one more piece to be that contending team. Not fully a championship contender, but that team that's looking in from the outside, I guess. Just add another piece.
I think what the Raptors need to add is they need to find someone like Rudy Gay who is a go-to scorer, but is not as selfish and stupid like Rudy Gay. Because
Hayward, I would say maybe.
I don't see Gordon Hayward as a go-to scorer in this league. Like Kyle Lowry, I don't think he should be a go-to scorer. Kyle Lowry should be assisting. He's a great passer. And DeMar DeRozan, I don't see him as a number one scorer. I see him as a number two scorer for a team. That's for sure. So if you add a go-to scorer at the wing position, maybe that can help out for them. Maybe Drake can be like, yo, KD, we'll make a song together. You used to like the Raptors as a kid. Come on, man. Come on over to our team. T-Town. Doing all that crap. So we'll just have to wait and see what.
I think the best the Raptors can get is Luol Deng or Trevor Ariza. They're not going to get much more than that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. If I was a free agent, I would want to go play in Toronto just because of how supportive those fans were. I mean, watching the game outside of the building, that shit's crazy.
There was literally 10,000 plus people outside the arena going crazy. The attendance, it broke the sound meter. I think the last time it was the Seattle Supersonics and the Denver Nuggets 995. That had the record. And apparently, the ACC in Game 1 broke that record. So that was very surprising. It was really
Yeah, no, like I said, if I was a free agent, I would say, man, these fans really get behind the Raptors, and I would think about going there in all honesty. But this series we did get wrong. The next series we're going to talk about the Clippers and the Thunder. I still think the bad luck is going to happen to the Clippers eventually. It's not because I'm a Clipper hater. They're going to be facing the Thunder next up, and we will talk about the round 2 matchups a little bit later in this video. But wow, this series was very entertaining. But I think what hurt this series the most is the overshadowing about what happened with Donald Sterling. And I'm not really going to get too much into it, but let me just say this: I'm glad that the league did what they did with Donald Sterling. But in all honesty, Donald Sterling, he's an 80-year-old man. David Stern has been trying to get rid of this guy from the league for a long time. It's just David Stern was too incompetent to do so. And in all honesty maybe we did it a little bit too late getting rid of Donald Sterling. Yeah, we got rid of him, but maybe it was a little bit too late to get rid of it because now Donald Sterling, we're going to say, oh, good, we got rid of this guy. He's getting fined $2.5 million. This dude's going to be selling the Clippers for around $700 million. He's going to make all that money for selling the Clippers. We're still giving this guy money because people have to pay $700 million just to get the Clippers. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised even if the Clippers go for $1 billion because he's going to be forced selling this shit, and this sale is going to be going on for a long time. It's not like, you can sell something and it's going to be sold right away. This ain't no video game. This is going to be a long process, and let's say if the Clippers do make the finals and they do win the championship, you know how many people want a fresh new championship team with the guys like Chris Paul and Blake Griffin under contract for the next 4 years? What kind of owner would not want to pay like $1 billion? They would make a lot of return on their investment there. So in all honesty, Donald Sterling to me, yes, he's a racist and he's a terrible human being. But at the end of the day, the NBA didn't really do much because he's still going to make a lot of money off selling the Clippers. And to me, that's just dumb. That's just stupid. I kind of wish David Stern was more proactive with the whole Sterling situation. He's been wanting to try to get Sterling out of the league. But nonetheless, this Clippers Warriors game, to me, series was fun and entertaining at times. Some games were just kind of matches where there was blowouts. So I wouldn't say it's one of the best series, but the games that were close, they were always fun and entertaining. And to me personally, when it came down to the Clippers and Warriors series, I hope Mark Jackson stays as the Warriors coach. I really, really do. It's a shame that he might not stay as a Warriors coach, but I hope he does because I think he has been improving the Warriors ever since he's got there. And I think he's the right coach for this team. I hope he stays as a coach, but I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go. What were your thoughts on this series?
I would say this was the second or third best series. I would go with third best series in these playoffs. Just because, like you said, those two blowout games, it was a blowout from the get go. Game two and game five.
Yeah.
Um, the Warriors not having Andrew Bogut hurt because DeAndre Jordan averaged five blocks a game, which was ridiculous. Um, Jermaine O'Neal did not play Game Seven. That also was an impediment for the Golden State Warriors. They had to rely a lot on the guards. When David Lee is your center, you know something is wrong. So the Warriors, they had a chance to win this series. They only lost by 5 in Game Seven. So it's not like they got obliterated. They were in the series all along. They were down 3-2, one Game Six, which kudos to them because a lot of people had the Clippers winning in six. The Warriors forced the Game Seven and ended up losing. Mark Jackson, I would keep him. I agree. He's a very good coach. I think he just needs one more piece. A very consistent big man that does not get injured. Because let's be honest, David Lee, the thing is, David Lee's not known to have a lot of injuries, but at the end of this past season, he's been missing a lot of games. He missed a lot of games at the end of the season. Andrew Bogut, he could never stay healthy. So they just need another big man. If they had got Dwight Howard last offseason, that would have been a nail in the coffin. To me, I would have picked the Warriors to win it all if they had T12 on their team as their center, but they didn't get him. So I think they just need to find someone in this free agency class and move forward from there. And
Yeah, they need to find a big man that can score too. They need someone that can really help them score as a big man. But I think the Warriors they're going to be a much better team next year. I think the Clippers are definitely going to be still a good team. And like I said, Chris Paul he has a hand injury apparently. Right, there's something going on with his hand.
I never heard about that, but I heard he wasn't playing at 100%.
Yeah, so there's a bad look for the Clippers. Like I talked about, the Clippers just seem to always have bad luck. And Donald Sterling coming out with this whole racism thing could also add to the bad luck of the Los Angeles Clippers. But we'll talk more about that when we get into the series between them and OKC. We're wrapping up the first round recap with the 4 and 5 matchups. The Wizards, who you picked to shock the Bulls, and I stuck with the Bulls and their experience. But I remember I said I could see what you're saying there with the Wizards scoring that the Bulls could lose this series, and the Wizards outscored the Bulls, beating them in 5 games. Like, whoa, very impressive. But the Bulls, in all honesty, they could not score worth a damn. Like, Taj Gibson's your best scorer? Oh my God. Like, Joakim Noah, as much as great defensively he was all season long, he just did not get the job done here against Nene. And Gortat, he had troubles with that. And it just really shows the Bulls, they really miss Derrick Rose, man. They need Derrick Rose to freaking get like a metal knee or something so that way he never tears anything up ever again. Because this guy right here could have helped the Bulls big time in this series. But the Wizards, they impressed me. Trevor Ariza stepped up in big games. Gortat did well. Nene looked like he was a fucking like 8-time All-Star in this game. John Wall looked well in his first playoff series, and Bradley Beal looked well in his first playoff series. I really liked what I saw from the Wizards here, and their bench looked really, really good. But other than that, that's all I really got to say about the series. I was not impressed by the Bulls. The Bulls disappointed me.
Um, I, I even though I picked the Wizards to win, they shocked me as well because I expected this to go 6 or 7 games. But the Bulls, man, this could have easily had been swept had Nene not get fouled out in Game 4, or in Game 3. So the Wizards, John Wall, And this might be. Fuck. Let me speak about Bradley Beal for a second. And this might be a bit, of a comparison to. Oh, my bad, dude. This, hold on. Into a mini Ray Allen with a slashing D. He has a slashing ability of a Dwayne Wade and the shooting ability of a Ray Allen. That
Oh
guy,
yeah.
yeah, like give him a year or two, he could be a star, and I mean a star, not a superstar, but he could be a star on any team. Bradley Beal, with John Wall and Nene and Gortat. We'll get into the predictions against the Pacers later on, but Washington is a really good team on paper. They're in a year or two. Let's just say they add some depth on their bench, and build some more chemistry and experience, they can really be a good team down the line. But what an impressive win against the Chicago Bulls. Like you said, the best scorer was Taj Gibson, and he didn't do shit. What did he average? Like 14 points in the playoffs. 14 points not cut it. Carlos Boozer, he's terrible.
Oh, Carlos. Oh, God dang. Carlos Boozer was just too old here.
If they want to go out and get Carmelo Anthony, they need to amnesty Carlos Boozer, get rid of his contract, and he's overpaid, and go and get Carmelo Anthony because the Carlos Boozer is terrible. So the Bulls, I feel bad for them because they're a great organization. Tom Thibodeau is a really good coach, and it sucks that he had to lose the way he did. But kudos to the Washington Wizards. I was going to say that. Yeah, kudos to the Wizards on winning the season.
Yep, the Bullets are moving on forward in the playoffs, and now we're going to get to the other final recap between the Blazers and the Rockets. And oh my goodness, this was the second best series with the best game winner. And Damian Lillard setting the Portland Trail Blazers to the next round. I like this series. I don't like either team, but I like this series. I felt LaMarcus Aldridge was a beast at times, and I felt the Houston Rockets, man, they just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Some of the plays like that I would see them run, I would just be like, why are you running this play? Like when you're running a play for Troy Daniels, I think that was his name, that rookie.
Yeah, Troy Daniels.
Yeah, when you're running a play for him and not James Harden, that's not good. And James Harden at times, you know, he was just shooting terrible shots and not making them at all. And when it came down to it, like him and Dwight Howard, they didn't really mesh as well as I thought they would in the playoffs. Like there would be times where Dwight was dominating and James Harden would be like, "Oh, that's not cool. I want to dominate now." And then James Harden would go on and take stupid shots. And in all honesty, I was not impressed with the Houston Rockets here. And the thing about the Rockets, why a lot of people were picking them as perennial playoff threats and a good team, is because they have a lot of good pieces on this team, but they pay them very cheaply. Like you look at the contracts, Jeremy Lin is obviously overpaid. You got James Harden who has a max deal, and you have Dwight Howard who has a semi-max deal with you when you look at it, a 4-year 70 mil with a player option. But the thing was, when you looked at their surrounding pieces, all of them were very underpaid athletes. Like Chandler Parsons, if you look at his contract, he ain't getting paid shit. Chandler Parsons is not getting paid any big money whatsoever. He's getting paid really crappy money. And the thing about Parsons now is they're going to have to pay him. They're going to have to pay Chandler Parsons. They're going to have to pay a lot of the players they have on that roster. And the Rockets, they just did not impress me this series. Dwight Howard did not look impressive at all in this series. Like I kind of just feel the Rockets dropped the ball here. They should have won this series, in my personal opinion. But good on the Blazers for moving on forward. I was impressed with what the Blazers did and what Terry Stotts did as a coach with them, and they're moving on to round 2.
We both picked the Rockets to 7.
Yeah.
But my thing with this series was, and I said the Blazers will win if Dwight Howard did not have a dominant series, and he did not have a dominant series, but I did not expect this series to end the way it did. Let's be real here. Had Troy Daniels had not hit that, this would have been a 5-game series.
Yeah.
That's how bad. That's how terrible let's not get around. The Rockets put the ball, unlike the Chicago Bulls, the Houston Rockets put the ball in the basket than any team in the NBA. They scored a lot of points in this series. They just could not defend anyone. Man, LaMarcus Aldridge looked like the second coming of God knows, like Bill Russell out there, man. LaMarcus Aldridge is one of the best power forwards in the NBA, but no way should he have dropped those 40 back-to-back 40-point games. That was just no defense. Dwight Howard can't guard him. perimeter. I still think Kevin Love is the best power forward in the NBA because you take Kevin Love and put him on a really good team with a lot of stars around him like Damian Lillard. He would be putting up big. Hell, he's even putting up big numbers as it is in Minnesota. So, but yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge top three power forward in the NBA. But the Rockets, man, James Harden, his shooting percentage was off this series. He did not play like the superstar people tend to call him, and he just didn't show up and play like James Harden. We all knew. LaMarcus Aldridge did what he had to do, and Damian Lillard, I was a little critical of him in the regular season, saying, people are ridiculous for putting him in the MVP race. And he was not in the MVP race. Let's get that out of the way. But wow, this kid has, it's only his second year, and for him to do what he did, that's special. That shot he hit. That was. I'm not comparing to Michael Jordan. That was like Jordan S. When Jordan hit that shot against the Cleveland Cavaliers over Craig Elo to advance. That was the way that they drew up the play, it looked like a safe thing. And then after he did, he just looked at the crowd, and it was a great moment. Damian Lillard, kudos to him. It was the first time in 14 years the Blazers won a series, so good for them. Congrats to them. And Houston Rockets, fuck you, Dwight Howard. Good. You left LA to go to Houston to win a championship. You got bounced out in the first round. So fuck you, D12, and congrats to the Blazers on that.
Well, we're going to still be talking about the Blazers because the first matchup we're talking about in round two is those San Antonio Spurs taking on the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, I'm going to be real here for a minute. San Antonio, they're going to struggle just a bit against the Portland Trail Blazers. LMA is going to have those games where he's going to hit 40 points. But at the end of the day, old man Duncan, old man Ginobili, kind of old Tony Parker, they're going to get the job done, and they're going to be meeting a certain team in the Western Conference Finals. They're going to the Western Conference Finals. I'm sorry. Like, the Blazers are just way too damn young, man. They're just way too damn young for me to really go at them. Will they give the Spurs trouble? Yeah. Young teams always give the Spurs trouble because they want to go fast, 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 fast. The Spurs don't want to go fast. Spurs like playing their system basketball. They don't like it when teams are not in their control. That's how the Spurs are. They don't like fast teams. They don't have to stop fast teams very, very well. And that's the thing. The Spurs, I really, really think the Spurs will win this series in 6 games. They're going to struggle a little bit against them. People are going to pick against the Spurs and be like, oh, no, the Spurs can't do it. But at the end of the day, the San Antonio Spurs will win the series in 6 games. That's my prediction for this series right here. San Antonio in 6. What is your prediction on San Antonio versus Portland?
I've picked a lot of upsets in the first round. I picked three upsets. I could have got all three correctly. Hell, I was 8 seconds away from getting the Raptors game right. I was a couple minutes away from getting the Golden State series right, and I got the upset of the Washington Wizards right, which that was that. But the Portland Trailblazers, San Antonio Spurs. I've really thought about this for the last 24 hours. And I'm going with the upset. And
Oh,
let me elaborate on this. If there's one team or one Pittsburgh really struggling, it is the Rose Garden over the last 2 years, the last 2 seasons. If there's one team that always beats the San Antonio Spurs, it is the Portland Trailblazers. Their ability to play small tends to hurt the San Antonio Spurs, especially when at times, like last year, there was a couple games in the regular season. Yes, it's just the regular season, but the Blazers would play small, putting LaMarcus Aldridge into the 5, and that would give matchup problems for someone like Thiago Splitter or Boris Diaw. And yes, Tim Duncan is refreshed and healthy, so that's good for the Spurs. And if the Spurs win a 6-7 games, that's not going to be any surprise to me because the Spurs should win the series. I'm just going with the upset because in my heart of hearts, I feel the Blazers will win the series. I want to pick the Spurs because I want to see the Spurs go back to the finals so they can avenge what happened to them last year. Because that was terrible the way they lost. But I just see, I don't know. There's sometimes when I see an upset, I just have to say it. And I just see the Blazers winning this series. Right now, I'm going to go in 7 games. I would if they. I want to say 6, but no, I'll go with 7 because the Spurs have home court, not the Blazers. So it'll take them. They'll have to win 1 in San Antonio, and they'll have to win all their home games to win this. They'll have to win 2 in San Antonio and win at least one. No, they'll have to win three, all their home games, and one in San Antonio to win this series. And I think they're going to do it. And I think the Blazers will beat the Spurs in the second round to go on to the Western Conference Finals. And Damian Lillard, if he wants to, he has to play subpar defense against Tony Parker for the Blazers to have a chance in the series.
So yeah, I just think even though the Spurs, yes, they do have trouble in the Rose Garden, I just don't think the Blazers are ready to conquer the old people. The old people will win. They're more veteranistic, and unlike the old Chicago Bulls, these old people can actually still score. So that's why I'm going with them. All right, let's just move on to the Eastern Conference now with the Indiana Pacers taking on those Washington Wizards. And look, I'm not choosing the fucking Wizards to win this series. I know a lot of people are like, oh, the Wizards now. They're on the Wizards. Little hype train. Chugga, chugga, choo, choo. But I'm not on the Wizards hype train. I'm sticking with the Pacers. The eyeball test, yes, they struggle with the Hawks. But if you watch the NBA for the last, I don't know how many years, you know the Pacers always struggle with the Hawks. The Wizards, I think, is a better matchup for them. Roy Hibbert likes guarding guys like Marcin Gortat and Nene. He likes guarding those guys because these guys don't stretch the floor. These guys have basic jumpers for him to guard, and these guys want to go into the paint. I feel some of the zones that Indiana runs cause John Wall some fits, and they really need Bradley Beal to step up in this series. But he's going to be facing off a much more lengthier guard and Lance Stevenson. To me personally, I just feel the Indiana Pacers will win this series in 5 games. I know that sounds crazy for me to choose Indiana in 5. They just went to 7 with the Hawks. But let's not forget, this team went 7 with the Hawks last season and then beat the New York 2-seeded Knicks in 5 games. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry that if I'm choosing the Pacers, but hey, I'm choosing them in 5. I saw what they did last year with the Hawks. They struggled with the Hawks last year, and they went on to go to the Eastern Conference Finals and almost made it to the NBA Finals. They're like 2 minutes away from the NBA Finals. So from Game 1. So you know what? Hey, I'm going to just say it right here, right now. Indiana to me will move on forward to the Eastern Conference Finals in 5 games against the Wizards. That's how I'm going to play it.
I picked the Wizards to upset the Bulls. I'm not going to pick it to upset again. The Pacers are winning this. In my opinion, it's going to go to 6 games. Roy Hibbert, to me, Game 7 was exactly what he needed to have a jump start back to being himself. I think Roy Hibbert's going to play like himself this series against Marcin Gortat. David West is a veteran power forward. He's not going to stop Nene, but he can contain him. But then again, Nene would have to worry about David West. David West can get his own shot as well. To me, what will win this series is the guards of the Indiana Pacers. Yes, that includes George Hill. I know he's not that good, but I think I'm not gonna say he can't stop John Wall. He can't guard him. But he's gonna create enough offense for his team and himself. And Paul George is gonna do what he normally does. Lance Stevenson will play like Lance Stevenson from the regular season, not the Lance Stevenson from the slump. He'll play like himself, and the bench will show up, and the Pacers will win this series because like you said, the Pacers always struggle against the Hawks. Let's not overlook the fact that the Pacers struggle against the Hawks. Oh, they're done. No, the Pacers are not done. They're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. There's no way the Wizards just make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals in like 5 games in both rounds. So the Pacers will win this series and advance to the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the same Pacers team that upset the Knicks. Yeah, like I chose the Pacers to beat the Knicks that series because I said, I don't know, the Knicks don't really seem that really great of a team to be a 2 seed, so I'm going to choose the Pacers. And the Pacers, they shocked almost everyone. Everyone's like, oh, the Pacers, and all of a sudden they struggle against the Hawks, and we just want to overlook that, and we're just going to look at that and just say like, oh, they're not going to make it to the finals. Like, they're still a great team. They just had a bad matchup. They always struggle with the Hawks. It does not matter what time it is, what seeding they are. They always had struggles with the Hawks. You should know that by now. That's why, to me personally, a lot of people just overreacting. Are the Pacers and the Wizards? They're playing tonight, right? Are the Monday games tonight? Pacers, Wizards, and Oklahoma City and Los Angeles.
Yeah, just those 2 games. Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, okay. I was just making sure those are the 2 games tonight. Yeah, by the way, if you guys don't know, we are filming this on Monday afternoon. This will be uploaded Tuesday in the morning. So just know that
we did predict these games before they happened, so we're not just saying stuff after games and whatnot. So yeah, let's just move on forward to the OKC versus the LAC. Possibly everyone's series that they're just waiting to see. Everyone's saying this is going to be the best series in the second round, and based on name value and the players you have on that court, I couldn't disagree with you more about that statement. But in all honesty, I think this series is going to have a lot of good games, but I think it's going to be a quick series. I think OKC in 5.
You know what? A lot of the school, a lot of people in class were on the Clippers bandwagon. A lot of people are. No one, literally, I spoke to like 6 people, and none of them had the Thunder winning the series. This was shocking beyond belief because either they're just idiots or they just, are on the Clippers shit for some God knows what reason. I don't know what God is doing. I don't know if I'm hallucinating or whatever, but I heard, like a lot of people telling me today the Clippers will win this series in 6 games. No, the Thunder will win this series in 6 games. The Clippers can. The only reason, and I'll give the Memphis Grizzlies a lot of credit, but that series would have went to 6 games had Tony Allen not played such great defense on Kevin Durant. Because that series went to 7 games. One of the main reasons because it went to 7 games was because of Tony Allen's defense on KD. He played amazing defense. No one on the Clippers can guard Kevin Durant. Matt Barnes is not gonna do what Tony Allen did. Jared Dudley, don't even start me with Jared Dudley. He's not gonna do shit on Kevin Durant. Yeah, they can score, but they're not gonna stop KD. Chris Paul, he's a good defender, but he has injuries going on with right now, and he's not gonna stop Russell Westbrook. Serge Ibaka, I don't think the Thunder has an answer for Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
But then again, the Warriors didn't have an answer either yet. They went to 7 games with the Clippers when they were undermatched. But the Warriors are not the Thunder. The Thunder will win the series in 6 games. Kevin Durant will shoot a better percentage in this. He'll still average 30, but he'll shoot a better percentage. Russ will not turn the ball over as much, I think. And both of these guys will do what they have to do and win the series in 6 and play the Blazers, I think, in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, no, see, it's just to me, I was trying to tell Clipper fans, like, look, the Thunder just came off a hard matchup with the Grizzlies, whose defense is just so hard for Westbrook and KD to really get any penetration going. That's how good the Grizzlies defense is. The Clippers, they were playing against the Warriors, who, let's face it, both offensive teams. The OKC Thunder are going to be like, a team that we can actually score on. Let's just go out there and play good basketball. And, you're going to have a lot of fans in the building, and a lot of fans hyped up because, Kevin Durant is the unanimous MVP this year. And you're going to have a lot of fans there chanting MVP. You're going to have that really big moment with KD, getting that trophy in front of his home court fans. You're going to have that, and it's going to bring some excitement into Kevin Durant's game as well. So, for me personally, I got the Oklahoma City Thunder just winning this in 5. Like I said, I think all the games are going to be good. I'm not going to say the Clippers are going to get blown out in any of these games. I just think that OKC is going to take care of business in this series, kind of like how San Antonio took care of business when they faced the Clippers 2 years ago. They took care of business by sweeping the Clippers. So, in all honesty, that's why I'm going to go with OKC in 5. And now we got the last matchup between the Dinosaurs and the Miami Heat, the Brooklyn Nets. Sorry, I like what the Raptors called them, dinosaurs. That was fucking hilarious. But we got the Dinosaurs taking on the Heat. Honestly, I'm not going with the Dinosaurs here. I think the Miami Heat will win this in 5. At first I said 6 games, but I'm going with 5 games here. I think they're going to have 5 games. We're going to get the usual KG and Paul Pierce angry at LeBron type of deal. I swear, that rivalry will never end. It's like, if you're a wrestling fan, that's like John Cena and Randy Orton. LeBron versus KG and Paul Pierce. That's like a rivalry that will never fucking end in the NBA. They always meet up somewhere in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a pretty solid series between these two teams, but I think the Heat are going to win in 5 and move on to face the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I've been waiting to talk about the series ever since you started this video. This was the series I've been waiting to elaborate on. Fuck the Brooklyn Nets. You know what? If you didn't know, Chase, I was in New York last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually in Brooklyn, New York. I went to the Raptors game, got tickets for like $35. It was really cheap. that city, just their fans are terrible. They're classless. I just hate. The boxing. It's terrible, man. Fuck Brooklyn. KG. Well, KG. I don't hate him as much as I hate Pierce. I actually respect KG. Paul Pierce, as a Laker fan, you would understand why I hate Paul Pierce. And some things, sometimes I've never understood why Laker fans hate LeBron more than they hate Paul Pierce because that's retarded. If you're a true Lakers fan, you would hate Paul Pierce more than you do LeBron James. And I just hate Paul Pierce ever since I started watching the NBA. I know the guy one of the greatest ever, top 25 all time in my opinion. But fuck Paul Pierce, man. And this is gonna be the one of the rare times I'm not gonna be hating on the Miami Heat. I actually don't even mind if they lose. I want the Miami Heat to go to the finals to see if one of these Western Conference teams has a chance to dethrone them. I don't want to see these old geezers, go to the finals because fuck Brooklyn, man. This is more personal than it is me speaking with true sense. I'm picking the Heat at 6. Yeah, I'm actually giving them 2 games because they did push the
Wow.
Miami Heat regular season, but I don't think they're going to push them to the point that they'll win the series. The Miami Heat will win in 6 and avenge and make an avenge for the Raptors losing to the Nets because it's kind of becoming a rivalry between the Nets and the Raptors. That sounds crazy, but like this team hates each other. Like Brooklyn, Toronto, they hate each other. Masai Ujiri, GM of the Raptors says fuck Brooklyn, and then KG says, hey, don't come here, we're gonna kill you. And then Paul Pierce, and it's crazy how it's happening. But I'm picking the Miami Heat at 6 games, and the Brooklyn Nets. They're not winning the series, but fuck Brooklyn.
Oh, wow, you gave them more games than I did. I just said 5. I thought Miami was just going to take care of business like normal.
Yeah, it's my thing with the Brooklyn Nets is they put the way they played big against the Raptors. Well, they didn't really play big because they had Pearson before. But KG had a good series. Well, not the series I expected to have, but they played big, and I think that's going to be an impediment of the Miami Heat that the Nets are going to play big, and this is going to go to 6 games, and they're going to come close. It's going to be all close games, but the Miami Heat in the end will win because Dwayne Wade. Let's just be honest, he had 10 days to rest, and when Dwayne Wade is on top of his game, he's unguardable. LeBron James, 10 days to rest, unguardable. Chris Bosh, he can face the floor, and Kevin Garnett. Yes, Kevin Garnett actually, he's actually, a lot of people, like, one thing that's underrated about Kevin Garnett, he can actually play on the perimeter, even defensively as well. People always talk about his, interior defense and, his ability to score the ball on the outside and down low, but his perimeter defense is actually pretty good. He can get Chris Bosh in trouble, but it's not going to be enough to Miami Heat this season.
All right. Thank you, Timran, for joining me for this video. Which series are you looking forward to the most?
The Miami Heat and Brooklyn Nets, because my hatred. You know what? I'm not gonna say I'm rooting for the Heat because that's just sad. If I'm gonna say I'm rooting for the Heat, fuck me. But I just hate Paul Pierce with passion. Ever since I started watching the NBA, it's just personal, man. And then ever since I went to Brooklyn, I got into an altercation with a few of the fans. It became personal. Fuck Brooklyn. That's
Yeah, I'm looking forward to OKC versus LAC. I might go to one of the games actually. So
not in LA actually.
yeah, in LA. Yeah, no, I'm gonna travel to Oklahoma. I'm gonna travel to Oklahoma. That's the plan.
I traveled to Brooklyn.
I'm gonna go by train and walk in and be like, OKC, OKC. Nah,
There's girls in OKC. There's a lot of female there.
I'll just probably go to LA and I'll wear like a yellow shirt and then be like, oh yeah, I'm a Laker fan, yay! And even though I'm not a Laker fan, or maybe I'll just wear like just a random shirt, not wear the playoff shirt they're gonna give me. So who knows?
Yeah, that's what I did in Brooklyn. I was on that shit. Fuck it.
Did people have to return the playoff shirts, Timran, when they were walking out?
Just keep it.
They got to keep it.
Yeah, well, I didn't keep that shit.
Okay. Because like 2 years ago when I went to Clippers and Spurs, we had to return the playoff shirts.
Oh no! You don't have. You can keep it.
Okay. Because I wonder if they change that, because I remember when people were walking out of the Clippers and Spurs game with the shirts, like, they were like, no, 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 you gotta get that back. We need it for the next game. Gotta give it back.
And if you get a chance to go to OKC and Clipper game, you trust me, you should go. I went to a Raptors against the Oklahoma City Thunder earlier in the year when Kevin Durant had 51 points. I'll tell you, I've never been to a sporting event that it was crazy. That game was crazy when Katie had that 51. If you get a chance to go, you should really go. It's worth it, man. It's worth it. If
Yeah,
I
no,
had
I
this year,
I know. I'm gonna go to the games and have some fun. So those are the games I'm going to. If you're going to any playoff games, go right ahead. Give us your predictions for round two. Make sure you guys check out Tim Rand on Twitter and on YouTube. Make sure you guys check out my website and follow me on Twitter at Chase Oliver68. Thank you, Tim Rand, for doing this. We'll be back for the Western Conference Finals and Eastern Conference Finals predictions, and then the NBA Finals. The NBA season's coming near, and then also maybe the NBA draft. We'll do a little mock draft type of deal. So
yeah.
we'll talk to you all later.